Welcome everybody to our Wednesday energy talk. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm a professional energy coach, energy therapist, and also a healer that trains other healers. And on Wednesdays we come together here on Skype Live with, some of these energies that we're picking up on, whether we call ourselves energetically sensitives or empaths or not, but things that perhaps are more difficult to talk about with our colleagues, friends, and family. So here we are talking about current collective or current energies, the energetic weather conditions, as I call them, and the word collective, I corrected myself here for a moment, has to do with the overall state of people's emotions, thoughts, and sentiments in the world. And obviously right now, there is a lot of that going on. There's a lot of expression of emotions and thoughts and opinions in this world here in the beginning of October. And almost like according to plan, like I predicted in the October forecast. If you haven't watched the video yet, do this now. I'm going to put the link up there. Not so nice expressions of violence, expressions of irrationality, and now power games. I called this warlike posturing. Okay, so right now, if you go to my website, you see the daily energy calendar where I give energy tips to those who are tuned into collective energies. And, you'll see that things are pretty much exactly how they were predicted. Last time we talked a little bit about the delays. How the more energetically sensitive you are, the earlier, or the, let's say, it's, the collective energies come in a delayed form for you. Okay, so you pick up on those energies before they find their collective expression. And that's quite easy to understand because, collective energies are kind of like, I want to say, individual water droplets that form a cloud. So it takes a little bit of momentum. It takes a little bit of these water drops to come together and form clouds. And when big events happen in the collective, then these clouds form very fast. They also start moving very fast, especially if there's a lot of positive and negative, right? High pressure, low pressure. And they can also get quite dark. All right, so this is me, trying to explain collective energies here as simple as I can without having to resort to any kind of mystification. Now, the overall energy that we are all picking up on is, well, let me ask you guys, what is the overall energy that you're picking up on right now? In yourself, in the collective? Not how you're dealing with it, just what is the energetic quality that you are picking up on right now? Uneasiness. Okay, that's mild.
Fear.
Lots of fear.
Yeah, lots of fear.
Lots of fear. How does
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Yeah, uncertainty is a big one. It's related to fear, but it's a specific kind of fear. It's sort of an anxiousness, right? It's not like a bear and you know that the bear is going to try to chase you and eat you or, kill you. It's more like it could be anything. Free floating anxiety. That's this uncertainty. Yeah, go ahead, Mindy. Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted to say something.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say like division and suffering, like emotional suffering and separation.
Okay, so we got suffering, pain, all right. And obviously that triggers quite a bit of, I want to say, emotional overwhelm in people, especially if you're energetically sensitive, if you're empathic. But it does that in all people. I mean, the kind of pictures and images that are floating around in mainstream media right now, they literally do this to all of us. Yeah, it plays directly into that animalistic part, that downstairs brain of us. Okay, so these are all images that then trigger, watching somebody in pain triggers fears in us. It also triggers compassion and sympathy in us. It's a lot of emotions, very emotional. And then you said separation. Yes, that's then more of a sort of mental response to that. Yeah, is the animosities, the hatred toward one another, the blaming, the blame shifting. So yes, speak it out, guys. These are the things that are primarily transported right now in mainstream media, and therefore not really a secret and not really something that we need to call collective energies. It's just basically the current expression of where the world is at. Okay. So, Cindy, you said you're annoyed with it. So now we're coming to what it does to us. How do these sentiments, these images, these things that are floating there, how do they affect us? Okay, we've already had a few indicators here. So uncertainty, pain, fear, they trigger a lot in us. What do they trigger in us? Let's go a step deeper than just, simple observation. Let's go a step deeper and let's witness this. What does this do to you? So, Cindy, you say you are annoyed. Annoyed with the judgment that is going on. Are you referring to the blaming?
Yeah, right when you were talking about that, that's exactly that whole loop. And whether we like it or not, we're part of the collective. And the weather conditions that you talk about, yes, we can put on a coat, but even so, we know that a part of that is going to affect us. And that's the part that annoys me is like, really?
Okay, so you're not annoyed about what others do. You're annoyed that the fact that others do stuff affects you. Is am I understanding that?
Yes, yeah, and that's a two-way street too. What you said first, yes, and what you said second, secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it makes
Anybody
me work
else?
harder.
It makes you work harder,
Yeah, to
or it
have
makes it
to
harder
be
for you.
yeah, myself, my place.
All right, let's talk about this a little bit. This is exactly what I wanted to talk to you guys about. How does that make it harder? And not just you, Cindy, anybody here. How does, this effects here that we constantly have to interact with the world and, whether we're aware of energies or not, but we can feel the effect on us. How does that, what does that trigger in us? What does that do to us? If we are annoyed, what has it done to us?
It's drug us down to that energy, that level. So I'm no longer
Maybe in the beginning, but it will over time.
yeah,
Uh,
downward spiral.
but
Exactly.
what is it actually that we do internally when we sort of look at something, point our fingers and say, this annoys me? What is that actually doing to us in that moment?
No, it's externalizing for sure.
It's a form of externalizing, so we're making it responsible. In your case, because you say, "Oh, I'm annoyed because it affects me," so you're externalizing your own well-being and saying, "Oh, because of this is happening, because of what these people do or what media does, or blah blah blah, I'm feeling this."
Yes.
But you also, and this is something that we can only actually feel when we go into this, you're also separating yourself from it.
Yes.
And separating, is not always bad. I mean, we talk a lot about healthy boundaries and standing our ground, which is a form of, making clear that we don't want to contribute or that we don't want to be part of something. Okay, so we have to be very aware. Okay, when we externalize or when we blame things on the outside for our well-being. Why? Because in that moment, we are literally giving our power away to it. Yeah. The tricky part with our brain and the way our nervous system, our body mind functions, okay, is that it will do that. It will do that in all of us because it's our nervous system and some of these like downstairs areas of our brain, they are designed this way that when we pick up on something that is potentially threatening, potentially inducing pain, that we immediately either want to run away from it, want to attack it, or if we've already had prior experiences with severe pain, then we may just freeze. But either way, in those moments, we are not in full control of our responses. So the downstairs part of our brain pulls us into the more archaic, the more autopilot version of our responsibility. Okay, so how are we giving our power away? Well, by looking at it, by resisting that which is, because it already is. We are creating a barrier between ourselves and that which is, and we're basically saying that which is determining who I am. That's how we externalize our power. And when it comes down to the spiritual aspect of fear and power, like the power, the faculty, to master your fear, to overcome your fear, it's very clear. It cannot be achieved by externalizing this power. So in that moment where we get annoyed, where we get angry, where we get, basically, where we see ourselves as a victim of these things that are playing out in that moment. And don't get me wrong here, guys. This is not a plea for, non-action or anything, but we have to be more aware. In that moment, we are basically saying that whatever it is that is happening on the outside controls me, all right? And instead of trying to gain more control, trying to gain the control back over our own, feelings, emotions, sensations, sentiments, and energies, we are basically confirming now that whatever's going on the outside is running me. So that's the problem with getting annoyed or getting angry. Let's talk about some other aspects. How else does it affect you? Now, I did ask you guys to submit some questions beforehand, and I got a bunch of questions. They all kind of sounded the same to me because they were about describing how this person feels, and that this person feels that it's particularly hard right now to maintain inner balance. Okay, and it doesn't really matter. Like I've received 5 questions that almost sounded identical. And it's something that I often address here in those energy talks anyway. And that is, the first thing you need to notice is that, not everything that you perceive, that you experience is just you. Okay, I think this is already sinking in a little bit. Yeah. And simple examples are the daily interactions that you have. Yeah. It makes such a big difference if if you see someone, be it in the store or on the street, and they smile at you, and that's the first thing, the first interaction that you have in the day, or somebody makes you a compliment, or if the first interaction you have is someone who is road raging you, yeah, in traffic. This can set up the mood for the rest of the day. Okay. Now, is this something that we can control? What other people do, or whether they do it to us or just in general? No. What can we control? Now it's your turn. What can we master? What can we control? Cannot control that these things on the outside occur and that they affect us. So Cindy, resisting that just creates schisms in you. Yeah. I mean, we're constantly under the influence of outer aspects, Take a gloomy day, when it's gloomy out, you're going to be affected a little bit in your mood, versus when it's a sunny day out, or, whatever you consider to be a good day, just the actual weather conditions. Okay, so you talked about the raincoat, yeah, when it's rainy outside. Yeah, so yes, you can put a raincoat on, and you can also, just, tell yourself, all right, today's a rainy day, or today's a gloomy day, and I'm allowing myself to feel gloomy today. Yeah, those are examples for non-resistance. There's also, the possibility to say, you know what, just because it's gloomy out, I'm not actually wanting that to whatever, you had a party planned or whatever, to destroy the fun or what I wanted to do. So I'm coming up with things that can help me to maintain my energy. Okay, so the point that I'm making is that it's much smarter when it comes to trying to handle these effects that outer energies have on you by thinking about what you can do, okay, to better master your own responses rather than bickering, complaining, or going against what is happening on the outside. With the only exception, of course, if it is something like, somebody bullying you or, verbally abusing you, and it's in your power to step away from that and say, well, sorry, this doesn't work for me, goodbye. Yeah, that's the only exception, because some situations, like at work or, even in relationships sometimes, yeah, we're not as helpless as we tell ourselves, okay? So we do have the power to walk out of situations if they are abusive or toxic, yeah? But when it comes to collective energies and the bigger current events, what our governments do, what, terrorist groups do, or individuals or celebrities or whatever, is not in our hands. So instead of going against it, yeah, and trying to resist that, yeah, that is, okay, we can work on our internal responses to it. Now, we have to look at the different body systems that we have and how they're affected. And this is now where it becomes very personal or very individual, because it doesn't affect everybody in the same way. Yeah, so we have the physicality, we have the physical 3D body that can get affected by outer things, and that's very different for people. Yeah, some people get very sluggish, some people get, their joints start to hurt, or for some people their stomachs hurts, or they get a headache, or, it can be very, very different. This is something that you need to observe with yourself. You need to go into this self-reflection. That's the self-healing work, yeah, that is needed. It's instrumental, yeah, for understanding yourself. First on the physical level, then on an emotional level. Yeah, what are the things that are affecting my emotions the most? This is very individual. You need to know this for yourself. You need to form this inner lexicon, yeah, of things that affect you in a negative way and things that can affect you in a positive way. Yeah. So when you feel gloomy, okay, and you know yourself really well, and you know that when you get into that gloomy place, some of us are very, very susceptible to this gloomy, depressive state. I am, okay. then we need to find out what activities we can do, yeah, to lift ourselves out of those states before it becomes so thick and so hard to get out of these places, yeah, that we can't do this on our own anymore. Yeah, so this is like a roadmap to navigate your own energies. And your energies are comprised of your physical, of your emotional, of your mental, and your spiritual attitudes, and also your etheric and astral bodies. Okay, etheric and astral energies are still, a mystery to most, and scares people more than anything, which is fine, because if we just, master our physical, yeah, our sensation, everything that has to do with our senses and our body, if we can master our emotions and if we can master our thinking, we are already more than halfway there. Okay, spiritual beliefs, yeah, and beliefs altogether about what life is, yeah, what the world is, what the purpose and meaning of life is, can't really, fruitfully be discussed with yourself, okay, if you cannot master, yeah, everything that falls into this physical, emotional, mental, body, emotion, and mind category. Because here, you have this complex nervous system with neurotransmitters and hormones, okay, that in a way, like, it doesn't work against you, but chances are, because it's aligned to survival only, it will pull you into the downstairs part of your brain. Now, we also have an upstairs part of the brain. That's the part that we call higher perception. That's where we have insights. That's where we find new ways. That's where we, become inspired, yeah, and resolve issues that occur. Okay, but if we don't know how to get ourselves out of the downstairs, guys, at least to a neutral kind of level, what we call balanced, okay, you cannot access the higher, the the upstairs part of your thinking, emoting, and acting. Yeah, so understand that. Yeah, so it is not what happens on the outside. There's always things that happen on the outside. It is your habits and your behaviors and your interpretations, yeah, that cause your mood, that cause your, also your physical illnesses. Yeah, so that's where you have to go into this. Yeah. For example, and this is a wonderful example right now, because I've been warning you about this for years, wrote an article about this 10 years ago, and I'm showing this to you in every forecast, more or less. Especially in this one, I said, yes, you need to stay away from news, because if you look, I mean, who of you can describe to me what the current news looks like, either on the internet or on TV? What does it look like these last couple of days since Saturday?
Armageddon.
All right, pictures. Like, give me Armageddon is your interpretation. We don't know
Just
what you feel.
And explosion and fire and death and suffering, all of that.
Okay, and that triggers the feel of Armageddon in you.
Yeah. Yes. I see what they're trying to do that. This is where I go more into annoyance, is, because we work on this stuff. Yeah. I'm not as susceptible.
No, but you can see how it triggers this, even though you're aware of it. So this is, sort of an advanced level. You can see how all these things get triggered in you. You can witness it, but you still have a choice.
Yes.
Okay. But real quick, Cindy, this is very important that when we give things labels or interpret things, what does Armageddon mean to you? Why did you choose this word?
It's just death. And that's the ego's biggest fear of death. And
death at the end of everything.
End of everything. Yep.
I mean, death would be death, but Armageddon means kind of the end of everything, right? Yes. The world's going to go under. That's it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so a very, exploitative, very emotionalizing, very projective kind of reports, pictures, etc. Okay, so that's what I called earlier, what is. That is. Okay. My recommendation was don't watch news, especially don't watch the pictures. Read the headlines though, because if you completely disconnect from what is going on outside there, outside as in like other people and what dominates the majority of people's minds and hearts and souls and bodies, you will most likely assume that it's all you. Okay, so you're going to have to find a balance. Who of you tends to completely disconnect from what happens in the world? You know, maybe at some point decided, oh, it's all crazy and I'm not watching any of this. Okay. Okay, so you're not participating in what is going on outside there. Do you still pick up on what is going on outside there? Okay, how do you pick up on what's going on outside there?
I can feel it in my body, mind, and emotions, and I see it in other people, which is just mirroring it back.
Same, yeah. The people around us.
Okay, it's the people around us, yes. Now, if somebody has already done self-healing work or growth work, they learn a very important ability, and that is the ability to discern which is theirs and which isn't. Okay, so you said you pick up on it in your own body and your own emotions. Okay, you know your emotions, you know your sensations, you know your thoughts, and therefore you can tell when something is coming in from the outside. The majority of people does not have that ability yet. 95% of people out there don't have that ability to know the difference between their own and what comes in from the outside. But what's important here was not so much that, but what both of you said, it comes in through other people. It comes in through other people. It comes in through interacting with the world. Okay, so can you effectively cut yourself off from all the craziness that happens in the world? Can you do that? Do you believe that? Is it possible?
No.
Just be more selective, though.
So no is correct. Mandy, you probably also mean no. You just have to work it better. Yeah, you just have to find better way. I agree. And this is part of self-healing work is that you become more aware of what the effects are that specific things, specific places, or specific people have on you, and then become more selective. So I rather not go to these places anymore. Yeah, because every time I go there, I feel like completely drained, or I feel like completely, agitated or anxious or whatever. Or I'd rather not work in this company anymore, or let go of that relationship because it really, doesn't feel that it's actually helping me to grow. It's holding me back. Okay, so we can become more selective in, what we expose ourselves to, whom we interact with. Okay. What happens if we become too selective? If we try to isolate ourselves too much, what happens then? To cut yourself off from everything that's going on, like say you have a cabin in the woods and no electricity and no nothing, no phone, nothing, and you just do your own thing. What happens then?
And you're separating yourself in a different way, even more.
Yeah, you are left alone with yourself, and can therefore easily get lost in yourself. If you
There's
go
zero growth.
Yeah, so you can survive life that way, although humans are designed as collective beings, so we learn the fastest, the most effective, and we evolve through interacting with one another. Okay, can we survive? Yes, we can survive with the help of nowadays technology and, in depending on the climate region, I guess with really good skills, chop wood, carry water, and be a good hunter, and maybe, know a lot about how to grow and forage edible plants. Okay. That's not the majority of people anymore that has these faculties anymore. But other than that, there's very little chance that we grow, that we follow, the overall collective evolution. So if we look at the current events that are happening right now, guys, okay, what are we seeing? I don't want details. What are you seeing? Is the overall stream where the collective is headed, and what is it that we, as conscious people and conscious self-healers, need to develop, okay, in order to balance this? It's very, very simple. These questions about what can I do about all these collective energies, affecting me, you work with it. You work with it. You investigate it. And in the forecast, I said you investigate the nature of your fear. Okay? Investigate the nature of your fear. What are you afraid of? Okay, Cindy's afraid of that the world's going to go under. Okay, Mandy, what are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of things out of my control that affect my health and my well-being, like all these electromagnetic frequencies and all these fear and doom and gloom nonsense that I don't want to take on board anymore. But then I also want to know what the potential possibilities are that we could be dealing with. So there's this fine line between how far do you delve into it and educate yourself without getting into the fear. It's really hard.
Yeah, but that's a good point that you're making there, because that's, that also has to do with the sources. Okay, Annette, what is the nature of your fear in context with the current collective energies, the current collective weather condition?
I see it as much more separation now.
The separation?
Yeah. And that is...
What's so scary about it for you?
It feels scary to me, and it feels very sad too. Yeah, I feel sad about it.
Okay, so you fear separation. Why do you fear separation?
Yeah, why do I do that?
Serious.
Because it's not natural to be separated.
Okay, because it feels lonely. Because it's lonely. You're afraid of loneliness. Yeah, you're afraid of being cut off, being lonely. Okay. Celia, what is the nature of your fear? Matthew, Linda, I'm going to ask you too. Come on. Say it. Guys, that's what you need to work with this, to grow with this. Yeah, you go ahead, Matthew. What's the nature of your fear?
Yeah, sitting where I sit on the planet, as an observer, I don't really have any fear. I have a lot of sadness that the disconnection's happening, but I also know that it had to, whatever's happening has to happen. So on the fear level is down to a level of, I believe we're bigger than all of this, so I'm actually fear not seeing the other side of this, the future, that in a weird way. So it's a personal fear of, hey, I understand this chaos of the physical, the emotional, and whatever's happening. But as the observer, having it playing out currently in my body, in my mind, there's a lot of past stuff coming up. I always know you described the hurricane earlier. Yes, the shitstorm comes, but it does also pass. And in the hurricanes that have hit me, when I'm in the hurricane, you can't see out of it. But then sometimes that's where you have to lean into people and say, hey, I'm feeling this, and there's resonance of this uncertainty. But there's always a bigger belief that I've got in myself that this too shall pass, comes to that. So from a fear basis, I fear not seeing, being here in 20 years, to seeing how this turns out. Actually, that's where I'm sitting.
Thank you, Matthew.
Different perspective.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's more like a curiosity almost.
Exactly that. There's this curiosity and excitement that hidden truths are coming out, and we can see past that.
Yeah, it's the bigger picture. It's
the bigger picture. Yeah. But it is playing out within me as well, even though I can.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So that when you say what the outside reflecting the inside, it's yes.
Of course.
And you've got to go through it.
Yeah. Linda, what is the nature of your fear?
My fear is that all of this hate and anxiety is creating a pressure to separate. And so I feel very isolated and sad, and I feel a fear of not being able to re-find my joy or to learn love.
All right. Okay, so separation, yeah, and underneath separation is just a word. Really, what we mean is, the fear of loneliness. Okay, of being alone. All right, so we have 2 or 3 main fears. The nature of fear here is the fear of loneliness, the fear of harm, physical harm, yeah, or physical pain, I suppose, Mandy. Right? If you break it down, it's the harm and the pain that would come with that. And same thing here. So fear of loss, fear of loneliness, and some kind of fear of pain. Okay, and there really aren't that many different variations. Yeah, because ultimately it's always the fear of something ending, or the fear of losing something, or the fear of pain. Yeah, it's always underneath all fears. The fear of basically loss of life. Okay. So the way humans are designed, when this downstairs brain part is activated, is that we go into fight, flight, or freeze. You guys all know this, right? Now, where do you think all this is headed now? Based on, historically, what the majority of people do. Let's just keep in mind that we have significantly more people on this planet now than we did, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. Which means that everything that is playing out now collectively here on this planet, we've already seen this with the pandemic, creates much bigger clouds. Right? This is just in the nature. That's just the quantitative aspect. How do you think it's going to play out? If there's no growth, if there is no development here. What are you going to do? Face the nature of your fear. So, Mandy, you're afraid of 5G, okay? And what else are you afraid of? Just speak it out loud. What else? Like the harm that could be done to your body through environmental things, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess just like the like the things we can't control around us, like the energetic frequencies that are emitted through everything that we can't just like disconnect from. You know, you got to be plugged into your phone.
I mean, 5G or EMF, you know, it's a tiny little part of what is surrounding us, right? We already covered this in the last half hour. That it's pretty much, you know, there's very little in our control, yeah, when it comes to like what we're exposed to, yeah. That's a tiny little part of it. So we've already agreed that the majority of things that are, you know, that we're experiencing, yeah, coming in from the outside, be it through people, be it through energetics, be it through media, be it through, you know, the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, or the industrial military complex. So no matter what it is, okay, those things are all there. They are, yeah, which means they always are. Okay, we can't control those. So is your fear now based that you can't control it? Is that a rational fear?
No, it's just a lack of control, and that's something I've got to deal with, is the fact that I allow it to become externalized, and I don't just keep taking my power back and going, well, I have the choice. I can choose how I want to react. But the thing is, it just feels so overwhelming at times because it's coming in from so many different angles that I feel
right now
like
it's coming in from all angles, and it will get even worse, guys. Yeah. So these next, I mean, as I said in the forecast, October, November, December, that's a whole new level of collective transformation. Okay. And you know, feeling out of, you know, not in control is part of this growth task that comes with it. Because guess what? You were never in control. You were never in control. Okay. So now it will become aware to you. Yeah. Now all of us. Okay. We aren't in control of these things, but there are things that we are in control of, and those are the things that we should focus on more than the things that we cannot control. You guys all know this is the serenity prayer. Yeah. To focus on the things that you can control. All right. And you may say, what does that do in the bigger scope of things? Well, I'll tell you what. Imagine a world where everybody would focus on what they can control. Can you imagine a world like that? What would that be like? I've asked that question in the study group, and that was kind of hard to answer for people. What would a world be like?
For me, that would be mastering your emotions.
All right. Just the emotions? I mean, you do know that emotions come from thoughts, right? You do know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that they're also influenced through physiology, obviously. So the body, mind, you know, this conglomerate of physiology, neurotransmitters, hormones, yeah, emotional expressions, and the interpretations, yeah, and the thought and the nervous system. That's you know, what we're up against. Now, you can't just say my emotions, because your emotions have a lot to do with your body and a lot to do with your thoughts. So these three, a world in which everybody could control that, or would, let's not say control that, but could master it, or would at least focus on mastering that. What would a world look like?
Yeah, no, if it was based on contribution, then it would be amazing. If it's based on separation, it's pretty much sit in a box. So it's like the contribution to others is what actually, you know, makes us feeling human in our unique way. And how you contribute is your magic. You know what I mean? As in all of us have this within us.
It's the attitude. Yeah, it's the sentiment. It's what we align ourselves to. Okay, so somebody does something bad to me, okay, and now I'm in a position where I have to respond. Okay? I have a choice. What can I do? I can go turn around, send some aircraft carriers to the other end of the world, and say, yes, we got to crush them all. Yes, they did something bad to us. Now we have to do worse things to them. What's that based on? Separation?
If I can
fear,
say,
or love?
yeah.
A contribution. Yeah.
I have that example in traffic. People freak out. And it's really smile and wave. You know what I mean? Apologize or whatever. Give them whatever they need for whatever
Ask them what
they're
they need.
going through, because I didn't create it. I'm just the poor soul in the car that was going to be the trigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know the person. I'm not anything. So, wish them well and peace and happiness, and that's it. And bye-bye.
Yeah. You can even feel compassion for them, because you understand that
Yes.
they must have a lot of tension, a lot of fear in their life right now, that they act out like that.
Correct.
So you're speaking from, the upstairs brain, the higher consciousness here. But we don't live in a world where that is the case yet. Yeah, we live in a world where the majority of people are still acting with the downstairs part of their brain, which means we, those who have aligned ourselves to the higher vibratory aspects of our being, also need to, well, basically amp up now. Okay? So hiding out in the woodwork ain't gonna fly. Externalizing and saying, oh, these others, they're all so bad. They are all in low consciousness and they're not getting it. And so I have to separate myself from them. I have to get away from them. You really think that that's going to change anything? It's the interaction. I've already tried to prepare you guys last month with the Gaia Love alignment. Okay, ask what is needed. Ask what is needed to resolve it. Ask what is needed to improve it, to bring about new ways. Instead of just doing payback. And anything in regards of being annoyed or being disgusted or being, victimized or, and again, you notice I'm not minimizing the victimization and the torture and the horror that is going on there. I'm not excusing that at all. But there is a bigger picture perspective needed. It's needed. Because what has been going on, especially in the Middle East, over the last, say, 80 years, is quite complex. And we can see that there are actually other agendas and other forces involved in that. So to bring this to a conclusion here without, talking about politics, but to just, become more clear about the energetic quality of what is going on. We are surrounded right now by, very low vibratory energies. We call this darkness. Yeah, we're surrounded by it right now. The cool thing about darkness is that it really doesn't actually have a property, a trait of its own. Darkness is just merely the absence of something. It is. Now, the forces behind it, the entities and so forth, they have traits, but the actual energy of it, okay, is merely the lack of something. Yeah, it's the same with daylight and nighttime. Yeah, it's like the sun. Okay, so yeah, daylight is there. It comes from the sun, and when the Earth is in a position that the daylight cannot be there, well, then there is no daylight, and that is then what we call night. Okay, so what is it actually that is doing everything? It's the light. Yeah. Now the absence of light is also doing something. Now transpose, extrapolate that into love. Okay? And look at love as the daylight and fear as the nighttime. And then remind yourself that just because there are sometimes clouds that cover the sun, that cover the sunlight, doesn't mean the sun isn't there anymore. So yes, here I agree, Cindy, at the end of the day, it's a matter of alignment. So we can align ourselves to the sun and say, okay, we're going to have to deal with the ups and downs. We're going to have to find ways to deal with daylight and nighttime, nighttime light conditions. Yeah. And maybe find new ways to create more light in our life so that it can light up nighttime, or so that it can help others to reignite their light, their inner light. Because guess what? Light is contagious. Maybe we can even make our light become so strong that it functions like a beacon for others and allows them to have these very same insights. Those are all things we can do. Yeah. Are we still going to have to deal with the fear of, physical discomfort, physical pain, loss of loved ones, loss of money? Yes. Loss of money is the next thing, guys. Big time. Written all over the sky. If you haven't gotten this yet, the connection between those events and the international finances, okay, watch some YouTube videos about macroeconomics. Yeah. So yes, we're gonna have to deal with this, and what it does, and especially in these eclipse times, yeah. So we're headed into, a solar eclipse now. Yeah, solar eclipse brings out our mental schisms, shows us exactly, okay, where we're in an illusion. Okay, so someone who's afraid of not being in control, what's going to happen next, is in an illusion, because, no pun intended, Mandy, we all have that fear of not being in control. We've never been in control. All right, not really, until we become conscious, yeah, and step by step, begin to master all these aspects of our life that we can master, and then you'll see that you have a lot more control than you thought. But if you focus on what the outside does, well, then it surely does feel like you can't do anything, or mental schisms in regard to what we told ourselves is good for us. Yeah, or what makes us happy, or what we need. Yeah? So prepare for that, because this is really what you're seeing right now, and this is also the reason why I wrote this article about the global shadow, because it brings out the shadow aspects in everyone, in you too, no matter how evolved you are. So, like Matthew, I'm sitting there, with a metaphorical, bucket of popcorn, and I'm like, I wonder how all this is going to unfold, even within myself. Okay. Why am I not afraid? Because I understand that these things have to go through their motion. They have to play out. And why do they have to play out? Because we all need to learn what these things are that define us as humans, that define us and our faculties and our powers as humans, so that we can finally start working on creating a world, okay, where we recognize what the light can do, and where we can enjoy the light without having to fear the next night. okay? Because that's what the ego does. It's impossible, it's incapable of ingesting, enjoying the light because it's too busy thinking about what's going to happen if the light's gone. My tip is focus on the light, okay? And help others to do the same. Okay, guys? Stay conscious, okay? Keep sharing here, guys. This is a rough time, okay? Yeah, there's an energy calendar on my website. You know this. I put out a domestic violence alert, yes, because this is a time where people losing it. Yes, and most people around you will appear crazy. Yeah. Is the solution to stay away? No. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to practice. Not obviously with the domestic violence. There you should stay away. There you should walk out. But, be it road rage or be it, people just yelling at you out of nowhere. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to practice staying aligned, to love, contribution, collaboration. Okay. All right, everyone. See you soon. And as always, you can always book an energy coaching session with me if you find it too hard to deal with things. I give you all the tools, to actually do it yourself.
Thank you, Jona.